what I've come to the conclusion of is that we need to, more than ever, we need to really start flexing our power as people. We need to start flexing our power against these people in power, because they've shown they don't give a fuck. They're going to give you a $1,200 check only if they can give $4 trillion to Wall Street. That's literally like they won't give it to you otherwise. And the Republicans are likely to not want to give you anything else after this. Even though that $1,200 check maybe didn't even cover your rent if you live in certain places, or barely covers your rent and then doesn't give you enough money for food for the rest of the month. And they only want to give it to you once, and then this crisis is going to go on for several months. A third of people, I don't know if it was only in New York, if it was across the nation, but a third of people didn't make rent, and so the reality is that the economy is going to come to a complete and total collapse if they don't do something. So if they don't do it, it'll be their own undoing. I mean, then all the people who supported things that didn't help people, should have their heads on the chopping block for their, not literally have their heads on the chopping block, but have their heads on the chopping block for their position, for their spot in Congress. Anybody who doesn't support a bailout of the people and only supports a bailout of the corporations, I'm sorry, but you're canceled. You're canceled. And I think it's criminal that they all voted for that bill. I know that Bernie got some concessions, and that's the only reason why he voted for it, but I still feel like he just shouldn't have voted for it. I don't know. I still feel like he shouldn't have voted for it. And I think the fact that the House did it and then didn't even record the vote so nobody can say where they stood, I think is also equally criminal. And that just goes to show you that there's too many people in Congress right now that are so bought and paid for that the few people who aren't know that it's just politically not even worth it to go against it. And that sucks, because I don't even want people having to make those calculations, because I want them to be able to stay principled. I get it. You got to be a little Machiavellian. Sometimes you're going to have to make some votes that maybe you don't really want to make. But I'm in favor of people being like the Bernie Sanders, the one person who didn't vote for it, or like the Barbara Lee for the war in Afghanistan. She was the only person was in the House, or I think I can't remember if it was in the House or the Senate, that was the only person who voted against it. So I think it's important that we really just take into account that we, the people, have the power, that this economy doesn't move without us, and that these motherfuckers at the top, these rich assholes, and I'm talking about very specific people. When I say this, I don't want to demonize every millionaire in the world. Dude, plenty of millionaires are fine, right? There are plenty of millionaires who are good people. I'm talking about 1%ers. I'm talking about $100 billion of net worth and giving pennies. Dude, people who give oh, Bill Gates gave $20 million to whatever. Dude, do you know what his net worth is? $20 million is chump change to him. And by the way, we would get more public good if we just taxed him properly so that he wasn't a crazy billionaire. I think that's what people just don't understand, is that the money would be better allocated if we just tax them properly rather than relying on them to fundraise for charity. By the way, where are the billionaires in this whole thing? I've seen one billionaire during this whole coronavirus thing that actually did something significant, and that was Jack Dorsey of Twitter. He actually donated a third of his net worth. That's significant. To me, it's a dude who's only got $4 billion, and I say only because it's still an absurd amount of money, but only $4 billion relative to, $150 billion. Giving a third of it, that's huge. Whereas you got Bill Gates, who's way richer, giving way less. That goes to show you, dude, these people aren't going to save you. Your billionaires are not going to save you. Elon Musk gave people the wrong ventilators, I think people just need to stop having faith in rich people. Bro, just because they're rich doesn't mean they're good people. Doesn't mean that they're better people than you. It doesn't mean that they're bad people. It just doesn't mean that they're good people automatically. It doesn't mean that because somebody was successful financially that suddenly like that they're better than you and that they earned it and they deserved it. Like, no, when you get to be 100-something billionaire, that means you are stealing money in multiple aspects. You're stealing money from tax credits. You're stealing money from subsidies. So this is all taxpayer money. You're stealing money from your workers by not paying them adequate wages, because the whole point is that the only reason why you have a profit is that you're squeezing out as much as you can at various levels of your business to make that profit. And then if you personally are benefiting so much that you're able to accumulate that much wealth, I don't care what you invented. If you've accumulated that much amount of wealth, you're stealing it from people. I mean, you just are. Like, you could be a millionaire and you're not really like, you're not stealing on the same level that a billionaire is. A billionaire truly is just like thieving money from people. They didn't earn $1 billion. You know, you only make $1 billion on the backs of like, who knows how many thousands of people, potentially millions of people, you know, depending on the scale of it. So I just want more people to understand that. Like, dude, it's not, being rich is not an inherently bad thing. It's being grotesquely wealthy. It's having hundreds of billions of dollars. That is just like literally just unfair. I mean, if you just want to think about the democracy of things, do you really want a country that has somebody who is so wealthy that they could buy all of Congress, which by the way is cheaper than you'd think in terms of to buy a politician's opinions on something. But like to be able to buy all that single-handedly, you know, their vote now becomes way more than one person's vote. And I think that that's what's so frustrating. It just is. I get it. Everybody wants to be that billionaire. Everybody wants, you know, especially in America, we're just taught this fucking selfish, like me mentality here, instead of a communal based, like, we're a community, dude, like it or not. And you're finding this out now. Like, we all rely on everybody. You know, everybody's important here. Even the people who you think are unimportant, right? The grocery baggers, right? The people who everybody thought, whatever, anybody could do that, blah, blah, blah. Meanwhile, they're the most essential fucking workers right now. And those people are risking their lives in arguably one of the more, you know, aside from hospitals themselves, one of the more dangerous places to have to be working right now during this pandemic. This is a place that everybody's got to go, whether they're sick or not. They got to go to the store to get food. Don't go to the store if you're sick, please. But you get what I'm saying. Like, people are going to go and not know, or be asymptomatic or whatever. And I think that this is a chance for us to truly understand our power and to shift that power dynamic to work better for the average person. And I think it's about time we start taking the money from the richest people in a way that we're not literally taking it. We're just going to change the tax code to more effectively tax them out of existence. Because with a progressive tax system, which means most of y'all motherfuckers listening are not going to be taxed any more than you already are, okay? With a progressive tax system, the more money you make, the more we start taking, but we only take it after a certain dollar amount. So, you know, with the wealth tax, there's a percentage for a dollar amount, and it's after that dollar amount. So up to $25 million, you're taxed the normal whatever tax brackets, and then every dollar above that, you're taxed at then this percentage of that. And then if you bump up to another tax bracket, let's say 40 million or 50 million is the next one, then suddenly every dollar over that amount gets taxed at 3% or whatever the fucking number is. You know, you can make up whatever numbers you want for it. And that is a way that you get billionaires out of existence while still allowing them to make absurd amount of money. It's still not going to like make billionaires disappear. They're still going to be billionaires, but the idea is that you don't have somebody with $150 billion, which is an absurd amount of money, that it's just gross, dude. But we can do it. I really do think we can do it. I think more and more these ideas have become mainstream. Bernie has centered this platform in a way that truly we would not be talking about it if he didn't do it. We would be talking about some incrementalism bullshit that isn't going to get us where we need to go, and that isn't going to do enough quick enough. We don't have the luxury of time. We really don't. We don't have the luxury of time anymore. We have a pandemic currently going on that's causing total economic collapse. We have climate change that is going to cause mass migrations of people, where certain areas are going to become uninhabitable. There's not going to be clean water in certain areas, and you're going to have conflicts that are going to rise from that, and migrations. And we need things to meet the moment. We need drastic changes in very specific policy areas. It's not in everything, but in very specific policy areas to meet the challenges that are going to arise. And with this internet, with this collective consciousness that we are slowly evolving towards, we are going to be able to meet that moment if we have the political will to do it. We certainly have the means. We certainly have the technology. We certainly have the people and the resources, but we don't have the political will, and we don't have the levers of power working in our favor, because the left, or progressives, or whatever you want to call them, as a team is not as coordinated as the elite. They're just not. The elite has more money, they have more resources, and they are so steadfast and together in their goals. They have a solidarity. They have a class solidarity in a way that we don't, and it's frustrating because they've sowed the dissent. They want middle class and lower class and working class people. They want them to be infighting about shit that doesn't matter, and it's frustrating that we have that circumstance, because we have more in common than they do. But they all get together and they defend their billions. They just do. They're just better at it. And I think we can be better at it, and we have more people. So we will outnumber them. And we already do outnumber them, but we will outnumber them when we start coordinating better. And that means that we have to make alliances with people on specific policy issues, whether you like them or not. I've said this before, but there might be somebody who you despise on the right, but if they have a good idea about one policy, I'm sorry, we gotta be like, all right, cool, come vote with us then, caucus with us, work with us on this thing. We disagree on every other issue, but on this one we don't. So let's work with this and let's fucking do it. And I think we just need to get serious about it. We need to get real about acquiring power. We need to get real about strategy, and we need to get real about uniting people and using a messaging that is able to access the average person. Revolution sells to people like me, but revolution doesn't sell to somebody who's getting by, doing well enough, but wants healthcare. We just need to center these ideas in a way that it's no, this is the mainstream. Anybody who doesn't believe in this shit is fucking nuts. That's what we need to frame it as. And the facts are on our side. So it's just a matter of framing it properly and allowing us to control the dialogue and allowing us to control the conversation. And I think we can. So I want to leave you with an inspiring message that we can do this. We can use this opportunity to completely redefine what government does in America. And we can use this opportunity as hopefully a way to get Donald Trump out of office. I don't have high hopes for Joe Biden, dude. I don't. I think he sucks. I think he's one of the worst candidates we've seen in a long time. But at the same time, he's slightly better than Trump. And that's about as much as I can say. I can't argue for a single policy thing, because he's wrong on virtually every policy in terms of what I want. But that being said, this pandemic might be enough to take Donald Trump down. So if that's the case, and we do get Joe Biden in there, I'm sure he's going to drop out of being a president almost immediately because his brain doesn't work. And whoever his VP is probably going to end up becoming the president, which is already extremely undemocratic. But, whatever. That's for another podcast. But stay healthy, stay safe, stay indoors. If you need to go out for a walk or whatever, as long as you can socially distance, wear a mask if you have one. Take all the proper precautions, limit your social circle, wash your hands, don't touch your face. I know I did in this podcast, but don't worry, my hands are clean. I washed them before this podcast. So just make sure that you take care of yourself. At the end of the day, we need you here. Unfortunately, this is going to put a lot of pressure on people who already didn't have much left. And I really want people to understand that, we need to be there for each other. Now more than ever, we need to be community driven. We need to think about our brothers and sisters. We need to think about our neighbors, and think about our fellow Americans, and even our fellow immigrants as well. I think we just need to realize that we have more solidarity and things in common than than people think. I just think, we have a lot. We have a lot that really unites us. And I think that this will be a chance to really, really unite us, hopefully, in a way that actually enacts meaningful change in our society. So sorry about not posting for the last couple of weeks. I was a little busy with work, being a little crazy, and also trying to figure out how to plan my schedule and everything. But yeah, I got I'll drop my episode with Marcus next week, and make sure to like, subscribe, follow me on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, whatever. I post clips to Instagram. I post clips to Facebook. Obviously here on the YouTube channel, I have all of my snippets that are there as well. So be sure to check out all of that stuff, and maybe I'll start dropping some videos outside of the podcast for specific topics or things I want to cover that maybe aren't worth an entire podcast. I've been kind of playing around with that idea. We'll see. I got more time now, so I'll try to coordinate some of that stuff. But thank you all for listening. I appreciate it. You guys are all my heavy mommies, and together we're going to get through this coronavirus, and I'm going to do my best to try to inspire you and get you through it for as much as I can. And, stay together, people. We're in this together. This is a human problem. All right. Peace.